All right, here we are back again for another very exciting edition of WDL Radio. This is episode 40. Can you believe we've done 40 of these? That's like
Holy crap.
it's like a whole lifetime, man.
That's crazy, man.
80 hours spent talking to each other. It's been fun though, and we have another fun one here for you. It's a throwback episode. It'll just be the two of us. We've been gone for 2 weeks, so we have a lot of stuff to catch up on. We are entering the finals week. Actually,
Speaking of
finals week.
catching, I obviously you've already caught the COVID. I heard the complaints from many of you last week that we didn't have radio, and I just felt real bad about that. And, despite my illness, I thought, hey, it's the least I can do, be a little safe, make sure I don't spread the virus through the studio. Bones has been gracious enough to let me on, given these circumstances. I did my, here's my thermometer reading, 95.9. It's because
that's actually concerning in the other direction.
It's because I got ice in my veins, bro. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, I'm good to go. I'm here for you guys. So let's go. We're gonna do a quick recap of what we missed. I know that's not what's on your guys' minds this week, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. And then we will get you into this Sunday's action.
Yep, Sunday's an exciting game. That will be the finals between Ties Only fans and Best Ever. But let's go back a week or two. Let's cover the the quarterfinals matchups. We had 4 pretty good games there. So we'll just go in order here. We had the Steel Ball Runners versus Ties Only fans. Of course, Steel Ball Runners chose map 23, which is a bit of a grind map. It's very powered by the sphere in the middle. So I think in order to make any meaningful runs on that map, you have to have item control. And Ties Only fans did map 8, which is kind of your rocket jumping arena. And map 8 has proven to be quite a force in these playoffs. As I think if I recall correctly, let's open up the stats for that game. But I know Steel Ball Runners actually started off that game pretty strong. I believe they were able to take a map off of TOF, the first one.
They did. Yeah, it was looking good. Yeah. Very, very good for them early.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go through the rounds, so Steel Ball Runners, they took the first round. They lost the next 3. But if you look at, they only ever lost by 1 flag, and they only ever won by a flag too. So all 4 rounds went the whole distance, 10 minutes, and it was a slugfest. I mean, you probably could have done 1 or 2 things differently, and you could have had SBR walking out of that with a victory. So, props to them. They made a really good midseason trade for Denzoa, and he ended up paying off huge for them. Really elevated that team to another level. They just came up against Ties Only fans who, as we've seen, as they're in the finals, they are quite the force to be reckoned with. So,
indeed, yeah. I mean, look at that game number 4. Daston capped with 9-16 at the 9-16 mark to put them up by 1. I mean, so it was essentially tied until the last minute of round 4. And each round was like that. They were great.
Yeah, it was a really good matchup. Hopefully the players involved in that loss do not get discouraged because they played a hell of a game. But Ties Only fans takes it, and they moved on to the semifinals. Next game in the quarterfinals, we had the Superchargers at the Boomstick Warriors. So the Boomstick Warriors, they earned themselves the right, and they earned themselves the 2nd seed by being the team that practiced the most all season, and I think that really paid off, getting them a home field map, which they picked map 9, which is not not a map that was in the regular season, but it's still a well-known map, and I think what they were trying to rely on was what's worked for them the most all season, which is that Dev/J-War offensive combo, and then you have Azriel in the back, covering the flag and taking out any runners. And map 9 seemed like a really good map for them. And then you have the Superchargers, who came in with this out of left field map 3 that never been played before. Ralph slapped it together one long morning at 3 a.m. or something, and threw in the wad. And
is that the story behind it? I did not know that.
I don't know, man. I think
Okay.
I'm just gonna go with it because Ralph never sleeps, right?
Well, I don't want to. I mean, maybe he's proud of that map. I don't want to, rip on him too much.
Oh no,
but
no, I didn't mean it like that. I just it seemed like something that he just kind of put together, and as it turns out, it's a really interesting map. Worked well for Suck. Suck walked into that game, and they beat the Boomstick Warriors on their own home field map twice. And so that's, when that happens to you, that's gotta take the wind out of your sails a little bit. And they weren't, I don't want to say that they were blowouts, but you could tell Suck was in control of that game. And so then you enter into map 3, Suck's home field, and it's like, how does TBW, how do they come back from this? And they did a pretty good job. It was back and forth there for a bit. Very quick game, but Suck ends up with the victory, and here we have another reason why we pushed for 8 teams to be in the playoffs, because the seeding is so close that you could have a 7 seed taking out a 2 seed depending on the matchups. Right. So TBW had a great season. Everyone on that team, like I said, they practiced so hard all season, and to see Azriel kind of assert himself as a really good player, godlike as well. That was an exciting team to watch. But Suck, at the end of the day, they had the right strategy to take that game.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun seeing Azriel play with those 2 veterans and carve out a really nice spot for himself on that team. And so props to them on a great season. And that was a fun bounce back kind of game for Suck too. I thought it was like they had kind of poor Suck regular season by like Ralph's Suck
standards. By Suck standards,
and they were on the verge of not even making it, and they got a big win on week 5 to get in, and then they took out the number 2 seed, so this was real, like they had a lot of momentum then going into their next matchup, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yep. And so the next game of the quarterfinals was Rip and Tear versus the Sexual Panthers, a rematch from week 5. So it was 2 teams that played each other 2 weeks in a row. The SXP home field was a map that wasn't in the regular season. Actually, both maps. Rip and Tears wasn't either, but map 11 maybe a little less known / played than map 20. So playing in the games, I thought they were. It was an interesting contrast in terms of styles, because what you're going to get with map 20. It's kind of just power your way through, and map 11's more wide open a little bit. So we took, I think it was like a 3-1 or a 4-1 lead at one point in both games, and then I know that the first 2 rounds ended up 4-3 in our favor. But it was like we would take a lead, and then it's like we couldn't close it out because of the way that the map is, and Rip would come back and score a couple, and so it was really close. And then so we took the 2 games on map 11. We went into map 20, and we lost that game. And of course, I decided to do something that we didn't practice, which was I switched Dragon from running to mid, because I wasn't getting enough kills, and we just weren't getting enough pressure. I mean, you look at who we were playing. It's Stal, Chain, and Shane. I mean, Stal and Shane alone are going to outfrag any other team without their third. So we just needed more pressure in the middle, and it seemed to work. We were able to sneak 2 flags out, and the game was over in 4 rounds, but they were really tough, intense 4 rounds. I hadn't been that nervous before a game in a long time, so. Like I said in the chat, ultimate respect for those guys. They did a really good job. I was glad to see that they had more success later on in the season. So they, it took them a little while to figure things out, but it's cool to see guys like Stal and Chain coming back. Hopefully they stick around, because they were fun to play against this season.
Yeah, 2 things that stood out to me. One, you guys had just lost to them 2-0 in week 5, right? This was a rematch. So it just goes to show how close some of these teams were, what a difference, 1 week to the next can make, one map versus the next. Some of these teams were so close.
Yeah.
And these games, and that's number 2 is what a great series. And your week 5 with them was good. So we expected some good stuff, and we got it. And like you said, every round, 10 minutes, like those round 1 and 2 were insane. And both one flag rounds, and then you guys actually did even better on 20 on their home field, which I wonder if they would pick a different map, in retrospect.
Maybe.
I think they're.
I know I would.
Yeah, I know that they were all thinking that they wanted something that their old decrepit minds knew already like the back of their hands and didn't have to put too much work into. Yeah. Anyway, good series, good season for those guys. Chain did especially. Actually, everybody had their star moments for that team. It was really great.
Yeah. I don't like eliminating people, especially. Well, I should say people that I like. Especially when I think just as easily I could have been eliminated by them. So, but it was just funny. I remember, I think it was round 1 because I don't think Toby has really played in games that intense before.
Okay.
So it was like near the end of round 1, he's like, "Oh my god, this is really intense." I was like, "Yep, it is." Yep.
That game looks intense.
Yeah. So it was fun.
Yeah, fun.
And then,
sounds fun.
Yeah. And then we had our last game of the quarterfinals, which was BQB versus Best Ever. The 2 maps here, of course, every season you're bound to see map 14 as Best Ever's home field. Rightfully so. Ross King plays great on that map. And then BQB picked map 22, which was week 2 of this regular season. I think this game started off really close. I think BQB, probably based on the fact that Infer and Ross King have played together a lot, that they kind of have maybe an understanding of the way that each other plays. BQB was actually in the lead at one point, I believe. 3-2. Yep, they were in the lead 3-2 in round 1. And so, that's pretty good against BSC on this map. Again, round 1 was 5 minutes and 11 seconds. So it was quick. It was a quick, and then it was a quick turnaround the other direction. Like they only had the lead for 20 seconds. So it was kind of an insane first round, but Best Ever squeaks it out 5-4. And then after that, it's almost like, okay, Best Ever kind of figured everything out. I mean, it was close in round 2 for the first 5 minutes, and then things just got blown wide open. I know that we had one of those rare, maybe not even rare, unheard of moments where the game actually stopped so that Stark could reconnect his microphone, which was very nice of Best Ever to allow them to do that. And then, it just seemed like it went downhill from there for BQB. I mean, again, another team that kind of figured themselves out late in the regular season, but just couldn't quite get, where they needed to be. And they went up against the best offense of the season. So, some really bad combinations there of factors, but they gave BSC hell in round 1, and, they had to make them earn it. So I thought it was a really fun game, and props to BSC for really showing everybody that they earned that first seed. Your microphone's muted.
Hey. Round 1 was fun, and it seems like just my memory of it is that it was longer than 5 minutes, but because it seemed like there was a moment in that game that was longer than I guess it actually was, that it felt like BQB might even win this thing, but then things quickly turned, like you said, and speaking of the best offense, one thing that you see with Best Ever, you'll see this next round too, is they generally win their rounds by scoring 5 flags, and they generally do it before the 10-minute mark.
Yeah. You'd have to, wouldn't you?
Right.
Wouldn't you have to score 5? Yeah.
I'll say they generally do it before the 9-minute mark. So, definitely the highest powered offense and maybe the best team in the league. We will see.
We shall see. But yeah, that wrapped up the quarterfinals, which means that we had some teams that got eliminated that week and some teams that moved on. So the semifinals, which were last week, featured the number 4 Sexual Panthers at the number 1 Best Ever, and number 7 Superchargers at number 3 Ties Only Fans. So the first game, they were both on Sunday. First game was SXP and Best Ever. What do you say about a game that lasts for 3 rounds? This is not the first time I've played Ross King on map 14. It's just a tough map, and I think you got to have the right team for it. I thought maybe we did, but one thing that I started to do in practice that I noticed people were doing, like, I think on map 14, a lot of people come out of their own base, run into the enemy's rocket area, and then just bolt to go for the flag and do a rocket jump. And that was just happening like over and over again for us. So I told Dragon to sit by the rocket launcher and just stop people from getting the rocket launcher, which worked in practice. Didn't work so much in the game. I mean, I think what happened in both rounds is that BST scored in the first 15 seconds because
I remember that.
Yeah, me too. I think Skull Rush got the top spawn both times, and just Ross King killed Dragon by the rocket launcher. I pushed down to kill Ross King. Skull Rush dropped down, grabbed the flag, and ran. And it was like that every time they scored. And I think round 2 we kind of got a handle on ourselves a little bit more,
for sure.
But yeah, it didn't last because they're just really good at that map. And it's like, I mean, I if you look at the game, like round 3 didn't go great for us either. So you'd think in your head, I guess they're kind of tilted from the first 2 rounds, but we were just kind of like, let's just win our own map and see if we can go back on a map 14 and figure something out. And we weren't even really thinking about it. Just BST played better than us on that map too. And, they have a really good offense. And then I think ACC is someone that hasn't gotten enough attention as a defender this season. I mean, both Dragon and Toby had a lot of trouble trying to get by him. And, I think the only time we scored on our own map was when I basically played, the Ralphus thing where I waited for Dragon. I didn't support Dragon at all.
Baited him.
Dragon died, screamed, "Where is the mid?" or something. And I just took the flag and ran.
So here I am.
Yeah, right. I think that was the only time we scored. So we just didn't have. I just don't feel like we had enough time to really figure it out. Like it was over like that. So sometimes that happens. But I had a really good season. I had a lot of fun, and hopefully, this puts Toby on people's radar because there's no way I should have gotten that guy for $1.
Oh, I think it does for sure. He's on my radar now, man.
Really good teammates. I enjoyed playing with both of them, and like I said, congrats to best offense of the season for sure. And again, ACC, incredible job defending.
I have to admit, when you drafted Toby, like you spent so much money on Dragon. I was like, what's he gonna do now? What's his plan? Like, I'm sure he's got a plan. I want to see what it is. And then I was like, oh, Toby's your plan? And no offense to Toby, I have just never seen him play. And to me, he was a no-name. So like, I'm like, who the hell is this? I don't care, whatever. Of course, I've been gone for 2 years. And I guess he in the meantime has been doing some dooming, some serious dooming. So yeah, he's pretty good for sure. And ACC, man, I mean, think about it like this: that team is essentially, like, I think, how much did Rosking spend? $24 or something on ACC?
I think so.
He kind of did the same thing you did, and he's, instead of Toby, he's got Skull Rush, and Skull Rush. You might put ACC and Rosking both in the top 5. You're probably not putting Skull Rush up there, all due respect to him, and I would say he's due some respect after this season.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely more than, he was repping before, for sure. He is, he has found a way to, carve out a role, for himself in that team that just works. That's not always the easiest thing to do. But he's improved, and it looks like his communication is on point, which, obviously he's been learning that from Rosking, but, give him credit too. And his running has just been, consistent, just real consistent. I haven't seen him make any like gaffes or errors like that come to mind, so he's just been real solid for that team, kind of the glue.
Yeah, I think they're a true team. They really work well together. And it's like you said, it's not easy. It's not easy to jump in and do that. So,
no.
So yeah, that was a good match. And of course, Best Ever moves on to the finals. So who are they facing? Well, we had the Superchargers and Ty's Only Fans come up just 3 hours after our match. And so the two maps here were I don't think you could have picked a matchup with two maps that were any different than these two. So you had map 8, which is your classic. Like we've talked about ad nauseum on the show, like it used to be played one way, now it's played another way. It's still a classic grind, in my opinion.
You still have a river of lava.
Yeah.
Stairs, a castle, and then like a thing in the middle.
And people like me, they can't rocket jump. So you got
between you and the flag, whereas in Ralph's map, there's nothing.
Right. Ralph's map is completely wide open, very hard to defend, fun to run, rocket jumping all over the place there too. So, but I just think they play vastly different. So even though, Suck didn't do that well on map 8, I thought they were really exciting games. Suck had some chances in these games, and they didn't score anything in round 1, but in round 2, Ralph was able to get a flag in, and I think that helped them. Like, okay, I mean, anytime you get a flag and you're like, okay, I'm not useless or whatever, I think that really helped their team, just kind of settle down. And then you get into round 3, and this is pretty insane to me. I watched it on the stream, and so I was like, oh, fuck, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, kind of similar to my game where it's like, okay, Suck loses 2. Are they going to come back and be able to do it? And they score 4 flags in the first 1 minute and 55 seconds. And you're like, oh, shit, this thing's not over anytime soon. And then it's like I was going in and out of the room because basketball was on. And I'm like, okay, it's 4-1. I go back. It's 4-2. 4-3. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm not so into the basketball since it came back. I don't know about you.
That's a little weird, man. It's like, they have these virtual fans, and they have it's like us sitting up there, and we're like,
And I got to be honest, like them coming out with like the BLM and stuff, okay? It's a little hypocritical when they won't say nothing about China. Sure. It kind of gets me a little bit. I don't know. It's like it's ruining it a little bit for me.
I will say one thing about the NBA is that they are the only ones who really make a big deal out of any of these major social issues. Like, okay, the NFL has Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they honor the military. But it's like
it's more like the military like pays them to advertise.
Probably, yeah.
It is that way.
I don't know. So I think
I know that
is good in that sense.
Fair, but
it's
also
better
opening themselves to criticism, and they deserve it on this, I think.
Yeah, fuck them, they suck.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, I was going back and forth watching the stream, and it was like 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4. I'm like, what the hell? And then Suck pulls it out at the end. Finally, they were able to get that 5th flag, and you're like, well, what the hell is round 4 going to be about?
Right.
And it was like, you know what? Whatever happened to Ty's Only Fans in the first 2 minutes of that round 1 game, they figured it out, and they took that into round 2, and it was kind of lights out at that point. So I thought it was exciting to see a map like that get played. Some people, mostly someone who shall no longer be named by us, has complained about that map. But, it was exciting to put it next to map 8. I thought it would have been exciting to see it in the finals, but again, credit to Ty's Only Fans. They figured that map out. They probably didn't even practice that map.
Really cool, almost what happened, where it was like you're really watching, and they deserve making it all the way, and you can tell they're a top level team. They're a team, all due respect to Suck, they proved they were a team kind of a cut above Suck, and you can see on the fly they were able to learn the map and adapt to it. It was really cool, and one of the more interesting rounds I think that we've just ever had in Doom. Like you said, the first 2 minutes, one team was like on the verge of like the blowout, like reverse blowout of all blowouts, and everybody, like you just said, was thinking, okay, now they're obviously going to win this, and if they blow them out next round, who knows what can happen. And then it was just like, this tug of war, and like they just couldn't quite get them over the middle. And then it was like so slow. It was like slow agony, as Ty's OnlyFans began to pull it back. And then like they just barely scraped out the win. And then in the next map, it was like, nah, it's just too much.
Yeah. Well, Ty said they did practice map 3. So I guess whatever they were doing, they just changed it up. It's interesting to think about though. Like, what if Suck had scored that 5th flag right away? Would Ty's team have been able to figure it out, or would round 2 have gone the same? Really interesting.
Right, exactly. They bought themselves just enough time by like stemming that blood flow at the exact moment that they did, because there was a 5th cap that was this close too, and Suck, like, honestly, I think should have had that. If I remember watching it at the time, I was kind of like, no big deal. And it turned out to be a real big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I think you have to look at teams that are able to adapt to what happens. Like, the teams that win the finals are the ones that get thrown into situations where they're losing, and they have to change things up and do something that they've never done or whatever. They just have to overcome Weekend at Larry's.
Yeah.
I have water. Sorry, I'm boring. Caught me on a bad day. I should be drinking if it was a bad day.
This is my COVID medicine.
Oh, okay. It's loaded with brain milk, vitamin R.
And bleach and like what is that stuff?
Hydrochloronic.
Hydrochloric.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
All that stuff.
Vitamin R, brain milk, something Alex Jones prescribes. So good match. Like I was saying, teams that overcome adversity usually end up winning, or at least making it to the finals. So Ty's OnlyFans were able to do just that, and they earned themselves a spot in the finals against Best Ever. So let's take a look at this matchup, and let's throw up our times, because we do have times for this amazing event, the Summer 2020 Demon Sphere Championship Classic 10, the number 3 Ty's OnlyFans, Map 8 at number 1 Best Ever, Map 14, Sunday, August 9th, 2 p.m. Eastern. So what does that mean? That means that Best Ever will get 2 matches on their own map before round 3 goes to Map 8. So it's going to be up to Ty's OnlyFans to try and steal a game, at least, from BST on their home field, which, interestingly enough, we saw Ty's OnlyFans play Map 14 in Week 3, and I think it was the only time we really saw any weakness from them. I think that was the only map that they really kind of struggled with. Now, who knows what the circumstances were behind that, but, based on that alone, it's probably going to be challenging. But then you base it on the fact that they're playing Best Ever and the way that they've played all season, and especially on this map, it's going to be a tall order for them. Obviously, I just talked about my strategy on Map 14. Didn't work out. So I don't even have any things maybe they could do, but I just know that, that combo of Skull Rush and Ross King coming at you from 2 different directions and, catching you out of position for 2 seconds can lose you a flag. So they have to really be careful of that.
or 2 if they do that back-to-back shit.
Yeah, which they're well doing.
Really good at.
But I think depending on who they put on D, I mean, maybe Ty will defend. I mean, you're not dealing with people who aren't experienced, so it's going to be experience against experience here. So I worry about them playing BST. I worry for them, but if there's anyone that can figure it out, I mean, that team has proven it all season long that they can do it. And then, you go over to map 8. We've seen, BST is a different team than Suck. So map 8's probably going to play a little bit differently. I think BST has the ability to do rocket jumps on a more consistent basis. They're a little bit more in tune with the quote unquote modern way of playing map 8, so I think it's going to be a little bit of a different matchup for these two teams on map 8. So I wouldn't necessarily say that Ty's team has it in the bag because it's their home field, but obviously I love what Dastin does there. I mean, I think Dastin is just a god. Really, really good runner there. He can defend if you need him to, but you don't want to waste his talents on that map defending. So I don't know, man. I really think this is a good matchup. You could kind of see it from the beginning of the season, like at least Ty's only fans. I know a lot of people were saying that from the beginning that they had like this stacked lineup, which is true. I think we could kind of see this as one of the marquee matchups that we'd see in the finals. So I think it's going to be a great game.
Rematch, right?
Is it?
I think from the last time we did WDL, these guys faced off, I believe.
The captains did, yes.
I think the same maps too, right? The captains. I don't know if the team names were the same.
Well, it was definitely map 14 because I lost on that map too back then.
I want to say it was map 8. I could be wrong about that, but
it probably was.
I think it was. And Rosking won. It was Ty and Dastin.
Rosking in for Legion, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, this is going to be an amazing matchup.
Yeah. Do you think that's the question? Do you think Ty has, a better chance this time around? I would say that Suck has a better team this time around than they did last time. I would say Ty has a better team. Did I say Suck? I meant to say yes. Yeah. I think that they both have better teams than they did last time. Ed has turned out to be a real superstar, and so some of the interesting matchups are going to be, I would say, like Ed and Rosking. Rosking's going to be mid. Skull Rush is going to be O. You'd think Ed's probably going to be at mid on 8, doing his thing that he was doing. Suck, probably pulling a chain gun out every now and then and being real annoying with that. And, one thing that we saw BST do on map 8, well, I guess I'm thinking about practice. I've seen them practice there, so I won't say anything about that now that I think about it. But anyway, Ed and Ty are a formidable duo on mid and D on 8, and we all know what Dastin can do. We saw him do a couple against Suck. I mean, he had one that was like just amazing. I thought he came in and rocket jumped. Once he was inside the base, up above, killed the defender on top, grabbed the flag, rocket jumped out, and scored. It was a thing of beauty, and that's the type of thing that he can do, on a round-to-round basis on map 8. So I think map 8 is going to be a lot tougher. I think, if I remember correctly, I think that Ty ended up losing on map 8 to Rosking. I think Rosking's team did better on map 8 than they did, So I think that maybe this time around that will be a little bit tighter. I still got to wonder about map 14. We have yet to see a team really humble Rosking there. I don't know if it's possible, to be honest.
So I figured that instead of pontificating about what the hell happened during the last finals, I would pull up the stats.
All right.
Really very interesting. So if you look at Ty's team, it was Ty, Dastin, Caution, and Skull Rush. Now It looks like Stark was subbed in, so I don't really know what that means. But Skull Rush was on that team. I'm not sure if he was on that team in the finals. Could have been, but interesting enough. And so yeah, it was the same two maps. 14 was twice. So best ever won round 1 5-0 in 5 minutes. And
Wow.
then Ty's team came back and won round 2 5-3. So complete turnaround from 0 to 5.
Wow.
And then round 3 on map 8 was best ever won 3 flags to 2. And then they took round 4 as well. So yeah, best ever was able to take it on map 8. But interestingly enough, Ty and Daston, with caution instead of Ed or Galactus, they were able to win on map 14. Now, Ross King Legion and Infer are a completely different team than Ross King, ACC, and Skull Rush. So I'm not sure if you can really base anything off of this, but it's just interesting. There are a lot of recurring players here. Ty said he traded Skull Rush for Stark midseason, so Skull Rush wasn't on that team. But yeah, I mean, it's the storylines here are kind of cool. I like that it's the same two maps, same two captains, some players returning. Really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has Ty won IDL or WDL as a captain before?
Yep. I believe Ty won in season 2 of the IDL, and then I want to say that he won season 1 of the WDL, but I could be wrong. Let's see.
Oh, well, he was on my team. I thought Water was the captain of that team.
Oh, I guess he was. I wasn't around that season, but yeah. So Ty won as a captain in season 2 of IDL.
So he's going for his first in a while. So that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, he's going to try to win as a captain. And like Ty's been around forever, so I think all of these guys, these matches, this is not going to be something where you're going to be able to outsmart anybody like something crazy. It's just going to it's just going to be positioning and aiming and communication, and that's what a final should be.
It's going to be the spotlight is going to be on every single player, every one of those 6 players. They're going to have to make plays if they want to win, So it's everything you want. Should be close.
I think so. Are we doing predictions? I was about to ask. You go first.
I mean, I think Suck has to – Suck. Why do I keep doing that? SX – BST, bro. I think I got to
– is XP in the finals? Huh.
You wish. Until they've been bested on 14 and they have home field again on 14. And I guess they were last year bested on it. I don't know. They've really had no issues, so far in the playoffs. They just, they are beatable, but I think until they're proven to be the lesser team, it's I gotta lean them. Yeah, not a great breakdown, but there you go.
I agree.
I'll say it's a 5-rounder. I don't know. It seems like it's close. I hope so.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be either 5 or 6 rounds, and I say that because I think these teams are made up differently than the last time, and there's a little bit more. It's a little bit more firepower here, and so I think you're going to be able to see a little bit more hero saves and hero caps and that sort of thing. So I'm going to say, 6 games, and it's hard. It's hard to go against BST. They've faced adversity all season, and they've overcome it. They haven't lost a game. I think they tied week 4, but they haven't lost.
No.
How do you can't realistically go against the number 1 seed. So until they prove us wrong, I got to go BST in 6.
Yeah. We'll see. Prove us wrong, TOF. Go ahead. Let's see it. I would love it. Well, I'm not saying
it's a rare treat for me to be proven wrong. So you should do it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just hoping for a great series.
Yeah.
I think
I think it's gonna be.
I think it's gonna be. Yep. I think we got the 2 best teams for sure.
So while this is our second to final radio of the season, I still think it's a good idea to go through and just thank everybody that signed up, everybody that played, everybody that made it a really, really fun regular season, playoffs. Zanero and Blair been doing an amazing job casting, and you throw in Hate and Chain and Ralph. It's been really fun. I mean, the amount of media that's come out of this season, like, far exceeds any other season, and makes it's so much fun when we all get to watch all this stuff and do all this stuff together. So hopefully, this is not we're not going to be waiting another 2 years to see each other again. But it was a lot of fun. I thought I had a lot of fun.
Me too, man. Yeah, we're gonna do one last show to wrap everything up, and look forward to some award. We're gonna do the awards, the Doom Awards, and look forward to that.
But yeah, award. Yeah,
exactly. The Doom Guy Awards, the Nightmare Awards. But yeah, this has been fun, and I love. I love to see like the league just kind of with so much enthusiasm. I don't know, like Zanero, is like super enthusiastic for like making that stream, hella good, and everybody seems to like it. And when we have more games casted, and in one place, like I think that's just great for everybody. I think a lot of people appreciate that. And yeah, we haven't had any problems this year, like knock on wood, like any serious problems that, we really haven't had any, and we've had the most teams ever, like the most people hanging around ever. And it's just been great. So I love this, what you've been doing, Bones. Bones takes care of most of the technical stuff. And I enjoy our new streaming home. I like seeing these comments come in. That's awesome.
I think we should field a question from the audience here.
To finish it out. Sure.
So I believe this is from Fran, right? Everyone's favorite, most normal Doomer, Fran.
Okay.
Could be wrong. Can you guys talk about the Swiss matchmaking system? Maybe the WDL could use that. I think the ZCA has it. Well,
you have to fill
I think. Say that again.
You'll have to fill me in on this.
Okay, so the Swiss, you know how the Swiss system works, right? I mean, matchups are determined. Okay, so matchups are determined week to week based on seeding. So, like, I think it's the number 1 team plays the number 2 team, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, etc. And that gets determined every single week. So it's not like you release a schedule.
You reseed every week.
Yeah.
I got it.
So, as the originators, the WDL has taken on the IDL's history, much like the Oklahoma City Thunder have stolen the Supersonics from Seattle. The WDL uses the IDL history. So as the original CTF league, I think Ralph created a really good system, and so any of these offset things or other ventures that happen, I don't think that Ralph's going to be using those systems. I think he likes what he uses now. It just worked well.
I mean,
for many years.
It's not like we haven't made changes. I think that the start of WDL was the start of the auction, which we didn't think of, until fantasy sports came along. It's not like that's an original idea, So we've been looking for ways to improve the way that we do things all along, and we took that idea and ran with it, and everybody loves that. Like nobody wants to go back to a snake draft,
God no. Waiting for Ty to draft, like texting Ty, you're up, and that kind of thing. No.
Yeah, so I think that was a great improvement, that's just permanent now. And but some things I don't think are gonna, and that's been adopted by other leagues and stuff too. Like this Swiss thing, I don't see that happening. I guess I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot like it's like the NFL schedule or whatever. I mean, you get your schedule, But you get the schedule before you ever draft a team, so you know like who the other captain's going to be.
Right.
Car alarm now.
Oh, we almost made it.
You can't really determine anything from the schedule being released because the teams aren't assembled yet. So, I mean, you get the games you get, and you got to win.
How does the seeding work in week 1? Who knows how good these teams are? I don't understand that.
You don't till you draft and play.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, whatever.
You don't want to make arbitrary changes. I think you want to take your time and really think about something, and the implications of. No. But just in general, the implications of putting something in that you don't know how it's going to work. Spending time thinking about things is good.
Too much criticism on something that I haven't read up on, but to me it sounds unnecessary. And if you had, I think if you had a lot of teams, maybe that maybe
40 teams.
Maybe I could hear you talk about it. But we're dealing with 10 teams, 5 games apiece. It's you don't treat the regular season like the playoffs for a reason. I don't know. Anyway, let's just I guess stop there. I don't want to get too deep into this, and we're about to end the show. Let's get out of here.
All right. On that note, TOF BST Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you stay tuned. It'll be on Zenero's Twitch page, twitch.tv/Zenero. Please watch. It'll be really exciting. Some great stuff happening. Zenero's working on some really cool stuff for it, so don't miss out. We will see you guys.
Check the stream out. It's going to be. He's been putting some work in. Yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah, see you guys next week.
Yep.
Peace.